Welcome back, everybody. You know we love to go deep on emerging tech and the practical side of things.
Exactly.
Not just the hype.
Yeah.
So today we are diving into something that's really changing the game. How large language models, or LLMs, are being used in supply chain management.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, really fascinating stuff. Our main source for this deep dive is a Harvard Business Review article from earlier this year, January-February 2025 issue, called How Generative AI Improves Supply Chain Management.
Oh, I know that one. It's a good one.
Yeah, so this deep dive is for anyone who's curious about, the real-world applications of AI beyond the buzzwords. And especially if you're in business or tech, or even if you're just curious about how things work behind the scenes, like how stuff gets made and delivered.
For sure.
You're going to want to listen to this one.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah.
Some of those technologies that it's really going to change the world.
Totally.
Do things.
Yeah. So maybe before we get into the nitty-gritty, can you kind of set the stage for us? Like, we've all experienced supply chain issues in recent years. Delays, shortages, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
What's the traditional way of managing all this complexity? And then where do LLMs come into the picture?
Okay, so the old way of doing things is basically, it's like a giant jigsaw puzzle.
Okay.
But some of the pieces are missing. And you're in the dark.
Oof. That's a stressful puzzle.
And so you got these mountains of data, constantly changing.
Right.
And people are relying on their experience and intuition to try to make sense of it all.
So it sounds pretty stressful.
It is stressful.
Yeah.
And incredibly time-consuming.
I can only imagine.
You think about spending days just analyzing spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Trying to get a handle on, like, just one tiny part of the supply chain.
So that's where LLMs come in. They, turn the lights on and give you a magnifying glass or something.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
They don't replace humans. But they're like super-powered assistants that can analyze all that data.
Gotcha.
Provide insights much faster than a person ever could.
Okay.
Like in minutes rather than weeks.
Wow.
And the article uses a great example. Microsoft's using LLMs to manage their global data center supply chain.
Right. And Microsoft data centers, those are massive.
Yeah.
That's not just like managing a couple of warehouses.
No. We're talking over 300 data centers all over the world.
Wow.
All requiring a constant flow of servers and components, and it's a really complex network.
So a massive undertaking, and they're using AI to manage this whole thing.
They are.
When did they start doing this?
So they ran a pilot program from March to October of 2023.
Okay.
And then went full scale in November.
Wow, so this isn't just some future tech?
No.
It's already happening.
This is happening now.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued, but let's get into some specifics.
Sure.
Like, how are LLMs actually making a difference in supply chain management? Give us the details.
So the article breaks it down into 3 key areas.
Okay.
And I think it's a really smart way to look at it.
Okay, so what's number 1?
Number 1 is data discovery and insights.
Okay, so it's like a detective for your supply chain data.
Exactly.
Like sifting through all the evidence to find those crucial clues.
Yes. LLMs can answer really complex questions.
Okay.
Quickly identify trends and pull out insights that would be hidden to us.
Okay, that makes sense. Can you give us an example? How are they using this capability at Microsoft?
Well, they talk about using LLMs to track what they call demand drift.
Demand drift.
Yeah, it sounds kind of poetic.
It does.
For something that's probably a massive headache.
I can imagine. Yeah, what does that even mean?
So it means the constant fluctuations in demand for their cloud servers.
Oh, okay.
Which is super difficult to predict accurately.
Gotcha.
And if they were using traditional methods, it would take a team of planners, maybe like a week.
A whole week.
To analyze all the data.
Wow.
And figure out what's going on.
And I'm guessing the LLM can do it much faster.
You were talking minutes instead of a week.
That's huge.
It's a huge increase in efficiency.
Right.
Meaning planners can be more responsive to changes.
Okay.
Avoid potential shortages or delays.
So it's not just about speed then.
Yes.
It's about making the whole supply chain more agile.
Yes, exactly.
More adaptable.
And they give a specific example. They say they freed up 168 planner hours per week.
By using the LLM.
By using the LLM for demand drift analysis.
That's amazing.
Imagine what those planners can do at that time.
Right. Like, it's not just shaving off a few minutes here and there.
No.
It's fundamentally changing how they work.
Exactly.
Wow. And so is this something that only, like, the big tech giants can benefit from, or?
No, it's not just for the big guys.
Okay.
The article mentions an automotive OEM who saved millions of dollars by using LLMs to analyze their supplier contracts.
Oh, wow.
And the LLM was able to find all these overlooked price reductions buried deep in these contracts.
In the fine print, basically.
Yeah, like thousands of pages of contract.
It makes you wonder how much money companies are leaving on the table because they just can't process all this information fast enough.
That is a great point. And it leads us perfectly into the second key area where LLMs excel, answering what-if questions.
Okay, what-if questions. Tell me more.
So this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because now we're not just understanding the current state of the supply chain, we're simulating different scenarios to see what could happen before making a decision.
So it's like a simulator for your supply chain.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really cool.
Like you can test out different decisions, see the ripple effects before committing to anything.
And how does that actually work?
So essentially, LLMs can translate human language questions.
Okay.
Like, what if we shift production to a different factory?
Right.
Or what if there's a delay with our supplier?
Okay.
They take those questions and modify the underlying mathematical models that drive the supply chain.
So I'm not a math whiz or anything, but is it like the LLM understands all the relationships between the different parts of the supply chain?
Yes.
And it can adjust those relationships based on your what-if question?
Yeah, you got it. That's exactly it.
That's cool. It seems like a powerful tool.
It is. It's a huge advantage.
Okay.
Because planners can make much more informed decisions.
Yeah.
You know, instead of relying on their gut feeling.
Right.
They can run these simulations and see what the outcome could be.
All within a matter of minutes, I bet.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so back to the Microsoft example.
Yeah.
How are they using this what-if capability in practice?
So they give an example about server fulfillment planning.
Okay.
Let's say you need to figure out the most cost-effective way to get a batch of servers from a factory in China to a data center in the U.S.
Okay. Lots of moving parts there.
A lot of moving parts, shipping customs, potential delays, using an LLM.
Yeah.
The planner can instantly see the cost impact of different scenarios.
Oh, wow.
So like, what if we change the delivery date? What if there's a disruption at a certain port? What if we use a different shipping company?
It's like having a crystal ball for your supply chain.
It's like a crystal ball, yeah.
So you can see all these potential futures.
Yeah.
And choose the path that makes the most sense.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really cool.
And it's not just for those big decisions.
Okay.
It's for those everyday questions, too.
Yeah.
Like, what's the impact of delaying the delivery of a component by 2 days?
So it's for big and small decisions across the whole supply chain.
Across the whole supply chain.
Really powerful stuff. I'm starting to see how this could be a game changer for all kinds of companies.
It is a game changer, absolutely.
And we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah.
The article also highlights a third area where LLMs are having a big impact: interactive planning. So on top of being able to answer those what-if questions, they can help planners adapt to real-time changes. So say, for instance, there's a big storm that shuts down a key factory.
That's right.
What happens then?
Right. So traditionally,
Yeah.
that would trigger a scramble to figure out a new plan.
Oh, yeah. Total chaos.
Delays, lost revenue. Yeah.
Yeah. Not good.
But with an LLM in the loop, planners can just input the information like, oh, okay, the factory's down, estimated recovery time is this.
Right.
And the LLM can instantly generate a new plan.
Wow.
Identify potential shortfalls, and even suggest solutions.
It's like having a super efficient crisis management team
Yeah.
built right into your supply chain software.
Right.
Yeah, no more late night meetings.
No more fire drills.
Just palm AI-powered solutions.
Exactly.
I like it.
And it's not just about reacting to disasters.
Okay.
The article also mentions an LLM flagging a supplier's lead time increase.
Oh, wow. So it's proactive, too.
Yeah, so maybe the supplier's having their own issues.
Right.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
the LLM sees this change
Okay.
and suggests ways to mitigate the disruption
Before it even becomes a problem.
before it becomes a problem.
That's really impressive.
It's like having this watchful guardian,
Yeah.
constantly looking out for any sign of trouble.
Okay, this is all starting to sound a bit too good to be true.
Yeah.
Are there any downsides to this?
Of course.
What are the challenges that companies need to consider before jumping in headfirst into this LLM world?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to remember that this technology is still evolving.
Yeah, of course.
You know, we're just starting to really understand LLMs.
Right.
And there are definitely challenges. One of the biggest is adoption and training.
Okay.
You know, just because the technology exists doesn't mean everyone knows how to use it.
Right. You need to be able to talk to it.
You need to speak its language.
Yeah.
Ask the right questions.
Understand its limitations.
Understand the limitations, yeah.
That's a whole new skill set.
It is, and Microsoft actually recognized this early on.
Okay.
They've taken a very deliberate approach, rolling out their LLM system slowly.
Okay.
Providing a lot of training to their planners.
Gotcha.
And really carefully monitoring how people are using it.
So they're not just like throwing the tech over the wall and hoping for the best.
No.
They're actually putting in the work to make sure it's used correctly.
Exactly. Putting in the work and the training.
Okay, that's good to hear. And what about the technology itself?
Yeah.
Like, are there any concerns about accuracy, reliability?
That's right. Because AI systems can make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is another key challenge. Verification.
Okay.
LLMs, like any AI, can make mistakes.
Okay.
Especially when the task gets more and more complex.
Right, because it's only as good as the information it's given, right?
Exactly. And if you ask it to do something it hasn't been trained for,
yeah,
or if the data's messed up,
okay,
the output could be totally wrong.
So how do you prevent that? How do you make sure the LLM is giving you good advice?
Yeah, especially
when you're making these critical decisions that affect the bottom line.
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of things in the works. One is to give LLMs really specific examples.
Okay.
Domain-specific examples.
Okay.
So the idea is you're training the LM on data that's really close to the real-world problems.
So it's not just general knowledge. It's very specific to your industry or your company.
Exactly. And another thing is building in mechanisms to catch unsupported queries.
Oh, so like if I ask a question that's way out of left field,
yes,
the LLM's going to be like, whoa, hold on a second. I don't know about this.
Exactly. Like, I'm not qualified to answer that.
Okay, so there are safeguards in place.
Yeah, they're working on it.
To prevent those kinds of errors.
Yeah, and it's an active area of research.
It makes sense.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the third challenge. New workforce roles.
Okay, new workforce roles.
Because LLMs are going to automate a lot of routine tasks.
So are the robots coming for our jobs?
Not exactly. It's not that simple.
Okay.
The article suggests that instead of replacing jobs, LLMs are going to change the nature of those jobs.
Okay, interesting. So what does that look like?
Like planners might spend less time on data entry.
Okay.
Number crunching.
Right.
And more time on things like strategic thinking.
So higher level stuff?
Higher level stuff, collaboration, building relationships with suppliers and customers.
So like less of the grunt work.
Less grunt work.
More of the big picture thinking.
Now more strategic.
Okay. So it's like going from a data cruncher to a supply chain strategist.
Exactly.
That actually sounds pretty exciting.
It is exciting.
But it also means that companies need to adapt, right?
Yeah.
Like their training programs,
for
organizational structures.
It's not just about the technology, it's about the people.
Right.
We need to invest in training.
Yeah, upskilling the workforce.
Upskilling the workforce, exactly.
And the article actually quotes Sasha Palit-Koff from Dell Technologies.
Oh, yeah.
She talks about training leaders to manage AI alongside their teams.
That's crucial. We need to create an environment where humans and AI can work together. Partners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Each playing to their strengths.
Yeah, I like that. So it's not just about efficiency and automation. It's about empowering people to do more meaningful work.
More meaningful work, more fulfilling work.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's not just optimizing the supply chain, it's optimizing the workforce as well.
Exactly. And this leads us to a really interesting question.
Yeah.
How will this shift toward human-AI collaboration reshape the way we do supply chain management?
That's a great question. But before we go there, I'm curious about Microsoft.
Yeah.
How are they handling these challenges, especially the people side of things?
Yeah, that's a good point. The article doesn't go into a ton of detail.
Right.
But it does mention they've done this gradual rollout with lots of training.
Okay.
And they've created these new roles focused on managing the LLM.
Gotcha.
Making sure it's being used effectively.
Ethically as well.
Ethically, yes.
Okay, good. So they're taking a thoughtful approach.
A very thoughtful approach.
All right. So back to your question about how LLMs are going to reshape the supply chain.
It's a big question.
What are your thoughts? What does the future hold?
It is a big question. It's hard to say for sure, but the article's authors are pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
They think LLMs are going to revolutionize the field.
Okay.
Make supply chains more efficient, resilient, more responsive to change.
Right. We've seen some hints of that already with the Microsoft example.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we're really just getting started.
We are just getting started.
Okay.
One of the most interesting things they talk about is the potential for LLMs to break down silos between departments.
Ah, the silos.
Yeah.
That's always a challenge in any big organization.
Yeah, you've got procurement, production, logistics, sales, marketing, all these different functions.
Right, and they all have their own little worlds.
Their own little worlds.
And their own priorities, their own data.
Yeah. And it doesn't always work smoothly.
Not always, no. I've heard it compared to like an orchestra.
Oh, yeah.
Where everyone needs to be playing in sync to make it work. But sometimes you've got someone playing jazz and someone playing classical music at the same time.
And it's a mess.
It doesn't sound good.
Not a good sound.
And the article suggests that LLMs could actually be the conductor of this orchestra.
The conductor?
Yeah, bringing everyone together, making sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, orchestrating this harmonious flow of information and collaboration across the whole supply chain.
I like that. So give me a concrete example. How would that work in practice?
Sure. So think about demand planners.
Okay.
Who are trying to forecast future demand.
Okay.
And then you've got trade planners.
Okay.
Who are handling marketing, pricing, promotions.
Right. Two very different roles.
Very different roles, traditionally working in silos.
Yeah.
But with an LLM, they can share data and insights much more easily.
Okay, so the demand planners could factor in upcoming promotions, price changes, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Which would lead to more accurate forecasts.
More accurate forecasts. And then the trade planners can adjust their strategies based on real-time supply chain data.
So it's win-win.
Win-win for everyone.
And I bet the customers benefit too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a more responsive supply chain means happier customers.
Happier customers, fewer delays, fewer stockouts.
So everybody wins.
Everybody wins, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Right. There's no magic bullet here.
No magic bullet. It takes a shift in mindset.
Okay.
A willingness to embrace new ways of working.
And training.
Right. Training, lots of training.
Upskilling the workforce.
Skilling, exactly.
Because ultimately it's still people who are driving this.
Right. Absolutely. Technology is just a tool.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool, but it's still a tool.
You need people who can ask the right questions.
Right.
Interpret the data, make decisions.
So what advice would you give to companies that are listening to this?
Okay, well, the article doesn't lay out a roadmap or anything.
Sure.
But based on what we've talked about, I think there are a few key things to keep in mind.
Okay.
First, start small.
Okay.
Don't try to boil the ocean.
Pick one thing.
Pick one area where LLMs can have a real impact.
Like what?
Could be demand forecasting.
Okay.
Supplier risk assessment.
Okay.
Transportation optimization. Whatever makes sense for your business.
So like a pilot project?
A pilot project. Yeah. Test the waters. See what works.
And then go from there.
And go from there.
Okay, what else?
Get your team involved early on.
Okay.
This is not just an IT project.
Right. It's got to be a team effort.
A team effort. You need the supply chain people.
The data people.
The data people, the people who are actually going to be using the tools.
The end users.
Exactly. You need that real-world experience.
Oh, yeah. To make sure it's actually useful.
To make it useful and to guide the development.
Okay. And, of course, training.
Always training, yeah.
Make sure people know how to use these tools effectively.
Absolutely. And how to spot potential problems.
Right, the limitations.
The limitations, the biases, all that.
What about the data itself?
Yes. Data quality is crucial.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. You can have the fanciest algorithm in the world.
Yeah.
But if your data's a mess,
it's not going to work.
It's useless. So clean it up.
Okay. Clean data is key.
Clean data is key.
Any other pearls of wisdom?
One last thing.
Okay.
Be prepared to iterate and adapt.
Okay.
This field is moving so fast.
Yeah.
Things change quickly.
What works today might not work tomorrow.
Right.
So stay flexible, keep learning, and don't be afraid to experiment.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. A journey of continuous improvement.
So for our listeners who are excited about this but maybe feeling a little overwhelmed, what's the one key takeaway?
I'd say LLMs have incredible potential.
Okay.
But it's not magic. It takes work, it takes collaboration, and it takes a willingness to try new things.
And don't forget the human element.
Absolutely.
We can't just rely on AI to solve all our problems.
You need to work together.
Partners in progress.
Partners in progress. I like that. So to everyone listening, whether you're a supply chain pro or just starting out, keep learning, keep experimenting. Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next big breakthrough in AI-powered supply chain management.
And if you do, come back and tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Until then, happy optimizing.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. See you next time.